zaru alatsadi. Zaru alatsadi, zaru alatsadi. Zaru alatsadi, zaru alatsadi. Zaru alatsadi, zaru alatsadi. Ule Yisraele simcha. Ule Yisraele simcha. Ule Yisraele simcha. Ule Yisraele simcha. Zaru alatsadi, zaru alatsadi. Zaru alatsadi, zaru alatsadi. That was practice.
Sing along by all means. No, we're just walking. Page 137, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten, Adonai Yivarech et Amo B'Shalom. May God grant strength to our people. May God grant our people the gift of peace. Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten, Adonai Yivarech et Amo. Adonai welcome the Sabbath Bride on page 138. Page 138 with the words of Lechadodi.
Yalla la 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 Lechadodi, Yalla la 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 Likrat Kalam, Yalla la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Yekabel, Yalla la 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 Lechadodi, Yalla la 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 Likrat Kalam, Yalla la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Yekabel. Amor vezavot, V'nivor echad, Yishmianu el hamilkah, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet, v'leitilah. Yai lai lai, yalla la la lai lechadodi, yalla la la lai likrat kalam, yalla la la lai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat yekabel, yalla la la lai lechadodi, yalla la la lai likrat kalam, yalla la la lai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat yekabel. Likrat Shabbat, le'u'elucha, Yimekor ha'beracha, Verosh mikem yehucha. Sof ma'aseh b'maglavat tefilah. Yai lai lai, yalla la la lai lechadodi, yalla la la lai likrat kalam, yalla la la lai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat yekabel, yalla la la lai lechadodi, yalla la la lai likrat kalam, yalla la la lai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat yekabel. Yamir usvot la la la, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekavel. Ya la 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 la, lecha Adoni, ya la la la, nikras kalam. Ya la 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 la, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekavel.
Boi beshalom ad teret malam gam besimcha u'tzolam toch emunei הסגולה. בואי חלם, בואי חלם.
יאי לי לי, יא לה 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 לי, לך אדוני. יאי לי לי לי, נקרא כלם. יא לה 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 לי, בני שבת, בני שבת נקבל. יא לה 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 לי, לך אדוני. יאי לי לי לי, נקרא כלם. יא לה 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 לי, בני שבת, בני שבת נקבל.
As we have welcomed Shabbat with the singing of L'chai Dodi, we officially light Shabbat. Welcome Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and I'd like to invite Rabbi Fred Morgan and Sue Morgan to light our Shabbat candles for us. We are on page 119.
O source of light and truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And before we wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, I'd like to just take a moment to welcome some guests into the congregation. I believe we have 3 visitors from Texas. Is Houston? From Houston, Texas, not that far from Melbourne, just a couple of hours flight.
Howdy.
We welcome you. You're very close to Ari. He's from Florida. You know, neighbors. I'd also like to welcome, as I saw enter into our congregation, Rabbi David Coonan, who took over from me as chair of the Progressive Rabbis of Australia, Asia, and New Zealand. I'd like to welcome Shireen Hamler. You're here as the chair, the president of the Zionist Council of Victoria. No, but you're there as well. And you're also union. For those of you who are from Houston, from Texas, this is a congregation that heckles the rabbi.
Just join in any time, feel free.
I'd like to
Feel it.
welcome Roger Mendelson, who is president of the Union for Progressive Judaism. We have our vice presidents, as well as other members of the executive of the Union for Progressive Judaism, who are here to meet over the weekend. I'd also like to have a very special birthday wish to you, Helen. We wish you a very happy birthday.
21 today, 21 today.
Services will finish at about 9:30 tonight. Any other visitors that I have been remiss to welcome tonight, new to the congregation, who've travelled from outside of St Kilda and Caulfield? No, well, let's take a moment, let's turn to each other, welcoming each other. And Jocelyn, it's lovely to have you. Jocelyn, it's lovely to have you here as well.
Page 142, we are accompanied by the angels and words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Rasha'im, Malachei Elyon, Minelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Rasha'im, Malachei Elyon, Minelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Orem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Minelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Minelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Minelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchen Shalom, Malachei Baruch Hu, Tzedek Adonai Melech Elyon, Melech Malchei Amalekim, Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem Melech Malchei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amalekim, Baruch Hu.
We rise for Chatzi Kaddish, page 144. 144.
Amen. Bagala, Bagala, Ubizman Karim. Amen. Yehi Shmerah Mevorach, Na'alam Ulal Me'al Maya, Yitbarach.
Please be seated if you'll join with me in the Hebrew on page 148. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chokhma poteach sha'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום מביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המריב ערבים.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, אהבת תורה ומצוות ודין ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בטובנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונצמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. יהיה חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגן
page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבביך ודיברת פעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לבנות ידיך והיו לתותבות מעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בצל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית הוריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תצורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם גירושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים.
אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. If you'll join with me in the English on page 156. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and our Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all of Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously and singing this song.
מי כמוך בימים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות משה מלך, נורא תהילות משה מלך, הערכותיך ראו בניך, קולטי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יבואי במים בליבם, יבואי במים בם, יבואי במים בליבם, יבואי במים בם, יאי 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 יבואי במים בם, יאי 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 יבואי במים בם.
ונאמר כי ברא אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
אשרינו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. אשרינו אדוני אלוהינו
שלום ועמידנו מכה ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed be you, eternal one. Your shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Page 162. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages. This is our covenant for all time.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And so we rise on page 164 for the Amidah or the Tefillah. This is the core of our service, as is our tradition. We will chant the first three of the benedictions and then we continue in silence, whether using the words of our prayer books or the words of our hearts. Feel free to be seated when you've concluded your personal prayer or meditation. Page 164, the Amidah.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהי אהבתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, עליון, גומר
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
Shabbat Shalom. We are so fortunate this evening to have members of this congregation who have chosen to come to Shul this evening, visitors from around the world, visitors including you, David, from Japan, visitors from around our movement, around the Union for Progressive Judaism in Australia, Asia, and New Zealand, as I mentioned at the beginning of the service. But we are deeply fortunate here at Temple Beth Israel to have Rabbi Morgan as not only Rabbi Emeritus of this congregation, but you and Sue, you come so frequently, you're weekly, you teach for us. But tonight you're here in your role as movement rabbi. You've been serving in this position for almost 3 years. I think June will probably be around about 3 years. I'm not going to be exact with the dates. And you're going to share with us a little bit about the work that you have done as part of the movement, how you've brought communities together, and to share some of that knowledge. So we welcome you to our Bima.
So Kim asked me to say a few brief words. What's that? I'm really grateful to you, Kim, and to the community here at Temple Beth Israel for agreeing to share the Bima with me.
You've said your few words now.
Yes, those are my few words. Now for the sermon. You know, a lot of people, when I retired from being senior rabbi here at Temple Beth Israel, asked me what I was going to do. And now I know what I was going to do. I was going back to work. So I've worked in a number of different roles over these 5.5 years or so. I did some work which I hope feel was very important for the Council for Christians and Jews. Here in Victoria, I also did some work for the Australian Catholic University. But about 3 years ago, as Kim mentioned, I was approached by the executive of the UPJ, the Union for Progressive Judaism for Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, to serve in a new post, that of movement rabbi. Now that has to be clarified because there have been many people who've worked for the Union for Progressive Judaism over the last several years. Rabbi Levi worked for this organization 21 years ago when he retired. It seems to be an automatic position thing. Janice Elper, some of you will remember her, gave a great contribution to the movement. Steve Denenberg in Sydney. And of course, there are also people who've worked on the administrative and logistics side of the movement. Many have done that, but for the last several years it's been Jocelyn Roebuck who's done a fabulous job in that role. But you know, apart from those people and the odd other person who somehow finds their way into the union, like a bookkeeper or an IT person, that's it. That's the extent of the staff that runs this organization of approximately 12,000 souls. Everybody else who works for the union is a lay person. It's extraordinary how much energy and effort and time the lay leadership put into this movement. It's quite extraordinary. Of course, there are other rabbis as well. The executive of the movement is basically a lay organization, and currently it's very hands-on, but it hasn't always been that way. There have been times, inevitably really, when it's been quiet or even dormant, I think would be fair to say. So the first role of the movement rabbi was really to join the lay leadership in generating energy around the movement. Spiritual energy, if you will. And that had to be done mainly through contacts with people, through dialogue, because there's no other way to generate energy than through personal meetings and getting to know people and helping them to find their way through whatever difficult situations they're engaged in. So basically it was networking work. For example, there were a couple of progressive congregations in Brisbane, and really there should not have been a couple of progressive congregations in Brisbane. The Brisbane progressive community isn't large enough for 2 progressive congregations. So through very slow, painstaking work, a tremendous amount of networking, exploring possibilities with the individuals who are in leadership positions up there, we managed to bring those 2 congregations together, to merge as one, leaving us with a much stronger congregation in Brisbane and a larger presence there as well. So after bringing the merger to pass, which was really done by the congregations, of course, not by me, but I helped to network that. Then my role was really to work with the ambassador. That's a lay person appointed by the executive and the president, of course, Roger, to work with the community and their leadership. In this case, it was Sharon Davis, who's the honorary secretary of the UPJ. So I had to hand over that role to her. And they haven't followed a straight line entirely, but today they're more stable than they've been in many, many years. I can tell you at least a dozen. I'll be visiting the congregations in Brisbane and the Gold Coast in a few weeks' time. We'll be doing some learning together. We'll work on their leadership issues together, succession planning. In other words, help them to provide for their own future. And that's one of the things that a movement rabbi does. And that leads me to a second thing that the movement rabbi does, which is around issues of leadership, continuity, and spiritual direction. So it's been my privilege, really, to meet with a whole range of leaders right across our movement. Of course, the rabbis of the Moetzah, I'd like to thank David for tremendous support in doing that, and of course Kim before him. but also many people in the communities who are not rabbis, but perform, as we might say, para-rabbinic functions within their communities. And I'm going to name some names here. For example, Ruth Gross, who serves Kedem in that kind of capacity. Joellen Ducker, who's in Wellington. Hannah Maya Frischberg in Shanghai. I've met with all of them on a regular basis, obviously by Skype with some, and in person to person with others. And I think that kind of the provision of mentoring and supervision is a really important part of the role that the movement rabbi plays. And I know it's given them a great deal of comfort to know that there's someone out there they can speak to who's speaking on their level, at their language. And that leads me to another feature, the third feature of being a movement rabbi, and that is to integrate all the various affiliates and branches of the UPJ into a whole. And of course, the movement rabbi is just one cog in this wheel. We're all working towards that, but the movement rabbi is in a position to do this in really striking ways. For example, last year, Sue and I spent a good deal of our year in Sydney working with North Shore Temple Emmanuel. And through that, I was able to make close relationships, not just with their leadership, but with the Netzer leadership, who happen at the moment all to be in Sydney. And I refer especially to the Shaliach, Dudu, and to Jess Harrison, who's the Mazkira of Sydney, of the federal organization. Now, why is this important? Because when it came time to plan the program for the biennial conference in November, I was able to approach Netzer and ask them what they would like to contribute. And they contributed an array of workshops, which, unlike in the past, were not there simply to advertise Netzer, but were actually an integral part of the whole conference program. They addressed themes for adults, not for children. And it wasn't so straightforward to do that. There were times when I was asked to reduce their contribution because it was a big one. But I felt they needed to have that role. And that's what I mean by integrating our movement and building it. Similarly, with some of the Asian communities, and they held a summit recently, our Asian communities, but they also held one last year, which I attended, which was so important in building connections with people there and helping them to integrate into the movement. The New Zealand communities, with their rabbinic search, is another way that the movement rabbi could help. And making a shidduch between the Canberra Progressive Community and Rabbi Gary Roebuck. Now that was only done because I had the two things in mind, the person and the congregation, and I could put them in touch with one another. And almost all of what I just described to you, you're hearing for the very first time because it's all done behind the scenes. And no one on the executive even necessarily knows about all of these things. And there's the rub. Because the movement rabbi has to do these things on a shoestring budget. The movement rabbi spends most of his time stationary, not moving, for a lack of funds. But it's so significant to the health of progressive Judaism right across the region that the position has been created, and I feel that it's given great strength where there wasn't strength before in our movement. So I'm really grateful to the UPJ executive and indeed to the whole movement for supporting this position and enabling me to serve in it over these past 3 years. It's been great. Shabbat Shalom.
Friends, we turn in our Siddurim to page 586 for Elena. Howard? We rise. Shiva, the 7 days of mourning, we remember in our congregation and community Stephanie Gray, Eva Friend. Sandra Myers will be laid to rest this coming week. Suzanne Nozick and Jeffrey Goldstein. And for the Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, we remember in our community Brian Abramson, Helena Alpert, Layla Cohen, Annie Feinberg, Rochelle Hyams, Graham Joel, Ralph Lewis, Aya Masawa, Shai Pinto, and Diana Wolf. And the yard sites, the anniversaries of whose death fall on this Shabbat, we remember Ben Bayer, Charles John Cameron, Emily Mae Cameron, Maurice Chopin, Yvonne Cooper-Smith, Darren Egelhoff, Alwyn Eilenberg, Philip David Friedman, Daniel Holm, Harold James, Joseph Cam, Helena Kronberg, David Cron, Sarah Lesman, John McCutcheon, Mira Mirovich, Lisa Samuels, Helena Penna, Lucille Rubens, Kenneth Rotman, Doris Satin, Jacob Lee Tepper, Otto Tescher, James Vinson, David Weisberg, and Helen Ventholz and Theodore Zemmel. If you'd like to share the name of a loved one for Shiva, for Shloshim or Yard Site, I invite you to share the names at this moment.
Eva Lux.
Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may the memory of the righteous be for a blessing, as we join together in one voice, as is our custom on page 598. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divrah pirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yom echon, v'chayedach b'beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'merur, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'barach v'olam v'lamei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'tadar v'taleh v'talal shemei d'kudasha b'rihu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yalma v'merur, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imrur, amen. Oseh shalom b'marmav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imrur, amen. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'toch sha'ah havlei Tzion b'Yerushalayim, May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved in Zion and Jerusalem and around the world. We say Amen. As we are seated, our President is making the way up to the bema. Rebecca, we welcome you.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Cantor Lulum, Ellie, Ari and Sharon for your liturgy for our service. It was beautiful, thank you. And welcome everyone from the board here at Temple Beth Israel. Very warm welcome to our Shore regulars, welcome if you are here in memory, welcome to our visitors, and a special welcome to members of the UPJ Executive. And on that note, I'll invite Roger Mendelsohn to come and make a presentation.
Fred, how the time has flown. It seems just weeks ago when we embarked on this journey. In fact, it began in April 2016. Mostly when people take on a new role, they get shown their office, they're presented with a book of procedures, they're introduced to the typist and the bookkeeper and so on. Here, all that you had was the use of your own laptop and a phone. And we tried very hard to develop a job description, but we didn't quite know where this would go. And I think you have shown this afternoon how it evolved well beyond what we had thought. You also took on approximately 1/3 of the world in area, because we extend beyond our own shores, up to Asia and even as far as India. When you took on the UPJ role, you began to direct light into the dark. And it turns out that there was a huge need for your help, and you gave it in spades. And as you were saying just before, it involved a great deal of advice and mentoring, teaching and inspiring. And there's clear, tangible proof of this. And it's very hard to set KPIs for a role like that. But never since I've been involved in the UPJ, which is 8 or 9 years, has there been such peace across our region. Normally there's been a few little bits of broigas going on. Today, none. There's been an increase in outreach to a lot of the smaller groups. We haven't lost any affiliates at all, and we've gained about 8, either those who have joined or are in the process. So we must be doing something right. Your time has now come to an end, and you and I have worked together as Rabbi and President for altogether 6 years, because you were the Rabbi when I was at TBI as President. So we've learned quite a lot about each other, and we often have breakfast. That's how we catch up. And Fred could order mine if I'm late, and I could order his, because it's always exactly the same. But Fred, I know that you will always be there at the end of the phone, so it's not the end. It's just your life moving into a different direction. And we're here today just to thank you, and I think it's terrific that we're in our home shul. And one of our exec members, who sits down at the front here, went out to buy the gift for you, with 2. And it's just as well, because if it had been me, it probably would have been a saucepan or a pair of socks, because I'm used to buying practical gifts. So Fred, on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for all that you've done.
A pair of socks, is it?
It's not a pair of socks. Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you all very much. And thank you.
Thank you, Roger, for that. And Fred, you have the gratitude from all of us here in Melbourne and around the region. So, just a few announcements. We will be here tomorrow, of course, for Shakrit services, and do join us and the family of Jay Landau as he becomes Bar Mitzvah. On Sunday, our film club will be gathering here for the screening of a very old favourite, the film The Odd Couple, with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. I'm sure you can remember that film. Do come along and see it again, 6:30 for 7 o'clock start with popcorn as usual. Other announcements are on your sheet, but one that is not, that I would like you to diarise, is that we will be holding here a panel on Israel, an Israel panel, on March the 14th. We'll have the honour of one of the speakers, courtesy of the UPJ, Orly Erez-Likovsky, along with two other local speakers. It will be interesting, may even be controversial, so do please join us for that March the 14th. Do join us for Kiddush at the back of the hall after the final song, and please thank our security volunteers. Today we have Alex and Gary, and kindly return your books to the trolley. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. We conclude with the words that seem so very apropos to Fred and Fred's role as a peacemaker. Oseh Shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Emru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
And so as you come to the back of the hall, the red is wine, the white is grape juice, and in the middle is the nectar of Johnny Walker, the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagaben.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shavat kodsho be'ahava ufratzon imchiranu zikaron למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים
קיבלנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים.
בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
לחיים.
Shabbat shalom everyone, l'chaim.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לחם מן הארץ. אמן. Shabbat shalom and בתיאבון. Bon appétit. Shabbat shalom. Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Welcome to Melbourne. Lovely work. Super.